Once this law was established, the Creator conceived and freed countless independent points of consciousness within its own infinite consciousness, and the companions came into being, each conscious and free. What a trembling wonder it must have been in those first moments. Again, it's important to realize that the companions were not physical bodies. They were like ideas, in the mind of the Creator, that were given freedom to be independently conscious. As they used their freedom, they developed into unique points of thought, feeling, desire, expression, and memory. Each was slightly different from the other by virtue of its different vantage point within the universal consciousness. Each companion had a spirit, mind, and a soul. Spirit is the essence of life. Remember the condition of the Creator before the creation. Alive yet still, this is spirit. It is the living stillness in the midst of activity. So often we identify life with motion, but the essence of life was there before the motion. Spirit is the essence of life. Life in motion, or the power to move and shape ideas and even physical forms out of spirit, is mind. Mind is the sculptor, the builder who conceives, imagines, and shapes ideas out of the essence of life. Spirit is life. Mind is the power to use it. Each of the companions had spirit and mind. As they used their life forces, they developed experiences, memories, desires, fears, etc. This caused them to become unique from one another, each having its own collection of experiences and aspirations, each its own story. This individual aspect of the companion is its soul. Soul is the sum total of all that the companion had done with its free will consciousness. It's the companion's story, its complex of memories. All of the companions have spirit and mind, but each developed a unique soul, because each built a different collection of memories and experiences, resulting in different desires, hopes, and attitudes about life. Thus, spirit is the life force, mind is the power to use it, and soul is the being that develops. All are one in consciousness. The division of consciousness. The creation then progressed from essence to thought, thought into thought form, and from thought form into particle form or atomic form. In other words, matter. There are many realms to life. One of these realms is the third dimension, physical form, as we know it today. The companions, filled with their newfound consciousness and freedom, went out into the vast universe to experience life and to learn about themselves, the Creator, and their relationship to it. In their travels through the cosmos, some of the companions entered the three-dimensional influences of the planet Earth, where they entered into physical form for the first time. Here they became so encapsulated in the physical that they began to identify themselves more with their form than with their consciousness. They began to think of themselves as physical entities rather than free, living consciousness. Incredibly, they began to think they were only terrestrial beings, and their celestial origins began to be forgotten. Form was so substantial, so captivating, that it was difficult to hold on to the more delicate reality of spirit thoughts, pure point of consciousness in a universal consciousness. To have an individual body was also the ultimate in self-identity and self-expression. It then had the power to separate the individual from the whole and the formless spirit thoughts of higher realms. Strong identification with the physical made the companions subject to the laws of nature, and, of course, a part of nature's cycle is death. The body would come to life according to the laws of nature, live for a time, and then die. In their original state, the companions were continually alive, but those that began to strongly identify with their physical bodies were now affected by death. Since they thought they were their bodies, they considered themselves dead when their bodies died. This led to great confusion, and when the companions who had not become involved in the material universe saw what had happened to the others, they decided to help those in the flesh regain their former state. However, it was not going to be easy. In addition to the influences of the physical dimension, the souls were building reaction patterns, karmic patterns, with their willful activities in the physical universe. According to universal law, these actions had to be properly met in the physical universe where they had been initiated. The more one acted in the physical dimension, the more one built debts that had to be met in the physical. Death changed nothing except those with karmic debts to be paid had to pay them by incarnating into another physical body. The result of this was reincarnation. Another effect of entering the physical dimension was the division of consciousness. According to the secret teachings, as an individual entered deeper into the physical, its consciousness separated into three divisions of awareness. Two of these divisions we acknowledge today: the conscious and subconscious. The first entails the physical realm, where the human body required a three-dimensional consciousness to function. It has become the part of our consciousness we are most familiar with, what we have come to call the conscious mind. Many of us would consider it to actually be the I, or me, of ourselves. It is within this part of consciousness that we experience physical life, and our personalities are developed. The second part of consciousness is shadow-like while one is incarnate in the physical dimension. It lives life as a shadow, always there, listening, watching, remembering, and only occasionally making its profound and sometimes frightening presence known. We have come to call this part of our consciousness the subconscious mind. From out of this area come dreams, intuitions, unseen motivations, and deepest memories. According to many teachings, the subconscious is the realm of the soul that uses the conscious mind as a mechanism for manifesting in the physical realm through the five senses. Often the thoughts and interests of the conscious mind, combined with the desires of the body, become so strong and dominant that only its activities seem important and real. The subconscious seems illusionary and unrelated to outer life. But in truth, the real life is occurring in the subconscious. The third area of the now divided consciousness is the most universal. It is the part we can perceive and commune with the universal consciousness. We have different names for it: the collective mind, the universal mind, the collective unconsciousness, and the superconsciousness. The more one's attention moves into the conscious mind, the more narrow and limited the focus and awareness becomes. The more one moves toward the superconsciousness, the more one becomes aware of the whole, the universal forces, the Creator. It may be more difficult to perceive the infinite when one is grossly involved in the finite, but the universal consciousness and the potential for attuning oneself to it remains. Curiously, access to it is through the inner consciousness of the incarnate individual and not outside of it, making it a very mysterious passage for a physical being. In time, however, the companions trapped in the physical dimension could again become aware of the difference between terrestrial and celestial life. They could again come to know their original state and purpose, and regain their celestial birthright of companionship with the Creator. In time they could again come to realize that the conditions in their present physical life were the result of their free will actions and choices before the present life. If the companions trapped in the physical dimension could genuinely begin to believe that the physical cannot possibly be all there is to life, they could begin a long journey back from form to spirit, a very difficult journey. In many ways we, as human beings, are no longer spirit. Flesh has become very much a part of us, not just physically but mentally as well. Even when we are out of the body, through death, deep sleep, or some altered states such as meditation, bodily manifestation is still very much a part of us. Otherwise, there would certainly be no reincarnation. We would simply leave the physical dimension and never return. The great paradox of humankind is that we are now both spirit and flesh. That's like saying we are a combination of oil and water, two substances which do not combine. The mystical analogy would more properly be fire and water. These two don't combine. How can anything be made up of two substances that are impossible to combine? Yet, such is the nature of humanity. We are constantly forced to reconcile the seemingly irreconcilable. Mercy with justice, cooperation with independence, unity with diversity, tradition with change, feeling with thought, love with truth, and on and on.